Sox are unable to sweep the Reds, but 2 out of 3 ain't bad. We'll talk about it here on the CHGO White Sox postgame show. CHGO White Sox post-game show presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with our friends over at Bet365. Download the app today and use code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the game is, I guess, whether it's the Celtics or Knicks, whatever team I bet on, bet the other team, because that team will win. The game before where Jason Tatum tears his Achilles, I bet on the Celtics. They lose. I bet on the Knicks last night. They lose. Don't bet on that series, I guess. But bet with our friends over at Bet365. We are coming to you live from Studio B of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson, being produced today by Joey Christopoulos. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us in the chat like Goop Like Soup, who says Sean. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button and make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. I will not have my feelings hurt today if nobody's watching, because it is 2:12. Usually games are starting around 1:10 for White Sox on Thursdays. So being an East Coast game, not too upset. But also, over in Studio A, I haven't won a Stanley Cup. I have never won a Norris Trophy, but Duncan Keith has. I just told Duncan Keith about how the White Sox are very different from 2025 to 2024. Hopefully, I am able to entertain you much more than Duncan Keith, because Duncan Keith weirdly didn't seem to care. Joey, he asked the question, which I thought was nice, but I really didn't think Duncan Keith wanted to get into the weeds of Jacob Maya, Lenine Sosa, Brooks Baldwin, Chase Mydroth. How are we really going to divvy up all these middle infield reps? It didn't seem like Keith was that interested in that. Sox lose 7-1 today in Cincinnati. They fall to 14-30 on the year. We will talk about how this team is different or not different from the 2024 team. If you're thinking, hey, 14-30 sounds familiar, you're right. Through 44 games last year, they were 14-30. We'll compare those two teams. Again, I guess I feel like I want to compare them already right now, but the thing that was big about the team last year in 2024 was this was about to be the start of a crazy 39-game stretch for them. They played pretty much every single playoff team imaginable. New York, Toronto, Baltimore, Toronto again, Milwaukee, the Cubs, Boston, Seattle, Arizona, Houston, Detroit, the Dodgers, Atlanta. This was a true gauntlet that they had to go through. This will not be the same gauntlet, at least in 2025. Sox lose today, 7-1. Bryce Wilson was your starting pitcher, and some people thought that the Sox punted on today. They won on Tuesday. They won on Wednesday. Pretty thrilling fashion on Tuesday with some fireworks in the 10th. And then on Wednesday, a nice game that almost got out of hand. The White Sox bullpen were able to hold on to it for the 4-2 victory. You'd think the team that doesn't have many wins, only 14 on the year, you'd think that they would be able to go after it in a possible sweep attempt. But with them returning back to Chicago, having a flight today with 3 games up against the Cubs and then 3 games against the Mariners, I don't mind them punting at all. Because if you look at the pitching matchup, it's Bryce Wilson, who is not signed to be a starter at the beginning of the year, versus Nick Martinez, who would have cost $21 million for a team besides the Reds to at least start at to get him to be on their team in 2025. It was not the right pitching matchup for them. It's a team that obviously wants to win and not be swept by the White Sox. I think that Will Venable was absolutely fine to punt and not play Mydroth, Caro, or Elko. Elko ended up getting up in the back end of the game, but Amaya, Palacio, Sosa was in the lineup, and they didn't get many hits. I mean, Matt Tice came in the 5th inning and laced a single for their first hit of the game. But even then, with that too, if Bryce Wilson's on the mound, I don't really want Edgar Caro back there. If there's any time that Edgar Caro should be getting a break, it's for Bryce Wilson pitching, a guy that will not be on the team in 2026. Davis Martin, Jonathan Cannon, Burke, Shane Smith, who we'll see tomorrow, all will be on the 2026 roster. Edgar Caro needs to build up a relationship with them. Will Bryce Wilson even be here in 2 months? Will he pitch well enough to stick around? He only costs $1 million. Like, that is a guy that obviously gives them length that they will likely need at some point this year, but he hasn't really been the whole cat's pajamas. This isn't me to tear down Bryce Wilson, but if you're going to punt, I'm glad they're not doing this with Shane Smith on the mound or Sean Burke, right? I am glad that they're doing it in the spot where it's a pretty iffy getaway game.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is a
11:30
getaway day.
a.m. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, this is definitely a getaway day. And to add on to it, too, as well, when the score got to 7-0, pulling Robert, getting Vaughn off their feet for at least a couple of innings before they gear up for a weekend series, also a move I'm fine with.
Yeah, and look at this. We start early at 2:15, and two of our commenters are international. We got Dragan from Serbia saying, "Go Sox." Dragan Barach. I'm not good with Serbian names, so shout out Dragan for coming in from Serbia. And then Kali Dub saying, "Respect from Ireland. Let's go Sox." I was listening to Mandika by Sinead O'Connor on the drive home, or on the way here. Bob Dylan just covered the Pogues' "Rainy Night in Soho." What a beautiful song. Shout out to Shane. So shout out to Ireland. Let's go Sox. Goop like soup. Where are you from? Come on, he's saying it. To be fair, I'm not even from the game. He better be from somewhere exotic, like,
Australia,
Southwest side.
What else?
Oh, Australia. Yeah, I was thinking,
Bryce Wilson,
maybe Lamont. That's real exotic.
Lamont.
Anyways,
talking Joliet. Now we're really getting overseas.
Sox lose 7-1 today. CHSN did flash this graphic, and during today's game, I'm going to try to compare 2025 to 2024. I'll also talk a little bit about Andrew Vaughn. I'll talk a little bit about Luis Robert Jr. as well. If you have any thoughts, let us know in the comments. We also, in the second segment, we'll get to the Cubs-Sox series that is coming up. Luke Stuckmeyer ran his mouth during last night's Cubs game. I think he ran his mouth fairly stupidly, fairly uninformed. I think the White Sox have a decent chance to at least one game against the Cubs. Luke Stuckmeyer does not. Also, on, I believe, Tuesday's show, someone said, "Stop yelling." This is my first show since then. So, Joey, if I start to yell, we need you to go find the spray bottle and spray down Sean, okay?
We also have Duncan Keith in studio today.
That's
so
true.
The bleed over is definitely going to be an aspect of the no yelling today. But you know what? It's a series win. We're fine. It's peaceful. We're going to gear up for the weekend series. Plenty to yell about all weekend long. Not today, though. We're fine.
Goop says Plainfield, but he lives in Texas. Texas is kind of exotic. Yeah, I mean, you know what? Nothing would ruin Duncan Keith's time on the podcast explaining where he was
Joshua
on the Patrick
Palacios
Kane game series winning, cup winning, game winning thing while I'm screaming about Joshua Palacios getting plate appearances. Yeah, that will ruin all the content. But anyways, where do we go? Oh, it's talking about Roberts, it's talking about Vaughn, talking about no yelling for Duncan Keith. This is not going to be a day where I yell, mainly just because this wasn't a game they had a chance to win. I mean, Bryce Wilson walked the first batter on 4 pitches. It was 3-0 after the first inning. Ellie De La Cruz hit a home run, I think, over the smokestacks in Cincinnati. I am very glad that they only have to see him 3 times a year. And the fun thing happened last year. It's going to happen next year in 2026. Ellie will be in Chicago. So at least next year we'll be able to see him terrorize us in our own home. We can at least just take the train to go watch Ellie De La Cruz kick our ass, hopefully in 90-degree weather like today.
I think the bummer about today was a little bit, you could tell it was hot and humid in that bandbox that they like to call in Cincinnati. And if the White Sox could have gotten a couple more balls maybe in the air, maybe this could have gotten a little bit more interesting. But all in all, Sean, I mean, again, series win. I know that they got walloped today, but things are positive. And as you said, and as you called correctly predicted, so far, at this point, walking into this weekend, the White Sox, what are they right now, Sean?
Yeah, they're 7-7. They are 500, but they got some tough games coming up. Chicago the Cubs are no slouches. Seattle, no slouches. Texas, I don't know if Texas is good or not, but Texas has been good. Texas won a World Series much more recently than I have, or we have. New York Mets are good. Baltimore has been fairly bad this year, but maybe that's when they finally start to turn it on. I think they have a decent chance to what? They're 7-7. They have to go 8-6. in those last couple of games, in those last 14?
Yeah, 28 games, 15-13, or 14-14 gets you to 500.
Even if they go 13-15, I won't be too bad. You know what? If I'm calling my shot before the month and they are just close of being 500, I won't be too upset. Anyways, CHSN did flash this graphic about the Sox from April to May. In April, Sox were 7-23. This also included the couple games that they played in March. 7-23 in March and April. Their run differential, -23 in that month. Batting average, .211. Team ERA, 4.19. Their K to walk ratio, 1.86 strikeouts to walks. And then in May, 7-7 record. The run differential now is negative, but before today it was +3. Woohoo! Now today it's -3. Womp womp. But still, hey, that's close to zero. A lot closer to zero than -23 like it was last month. Average is up, I think, about 17 points from 211 to 228. Team ERA went from 4.19 to 3.45, and then the K to walk ratio 1.86 to 2.19. So they've been striking out people more and walking people less. They've been getting more guys out, and they've been getting on more. Is this a good team? No. Will they lose still 100 games this year? Yes. But I think it feels like every single night they have a chance. If they are able to, really play their best baseball, they'll have a chance. Last year, my former colleague, Vinny Duber, Sky Point, mentioned that it just felt like every single night you knew the outcome. You knew that every single night that they were going to go out there, and even if they played their best game, at some point their ugly head would rear themselves and an error in the ninth would happen, and the 1-0 lead that you saw would vanish instantly. And I guess that happened on Tuesday, but they were able to kind of recover from it. They just have a little bit more respectability, just a little bit more than last year, which is a lot better than a record-setting worst team of all time.
And beyond just like the better product on the field, the whole fait accompli of last year was what was so depressing. But for these young players coming up right now, I'm always going to advocate for, if you're going to be bad, you at least have to bring it up to some sort of level where I want to see Caro and Mydroth hit with runners on second and third to possibly tie the game. You want them to play in actual competitive situations and hang in these games as competitively as possible. I felt like that wasn't even achievable last year. So the fact that we're seeing some of these things, like the fact that the White Sox even walked into today with the opportunity to sweep a series, is something that I think is good for young development and at least team building, and that's credit to Will Venable and a credit to these young players.
Yeah, we'll see how it turns out. We're going to share some stats that might make you a little bit queasy, but also maybe give you a little bit of hope. We're about 12 minutes in. We're about to hit a break. I do just want to share that we're coming up on rivalry weekend. MLB is now starting this, are going to be playing into some of these town rivalries, state rivalries that you have seen. Obviously, the Sox and Cubs are playing this weekend. That's part of rivalry weekend. Yankees and Mets will be having a 3-game series. That one, obviously the Subway Series, but has more level of notch. It's up a notch, the intensity, because of Soto leaving New York to go to other New York. Then you have Pittsburgh and Philly, that interstate matchup. You have Cleveland versus Cincinnati, and I didn't see this on the broadcast, but I would just have to assume that the Angels are playing the Dodgers.
One would think.
You'd think. Or maybe it's San Francisco versus L.A., and then the Angels versus Sacramento, Oakland, Las Vegas.
I was going to say, the Sacramento A's play the ghost of the Oakland A's.
Yeah. And you know what I loved seeing? I loved seeing everyone's friend, America's friend, Tom Hanks at the Dodger Stadium yesterday to watch his A's decked out in A's gears, just because you know that Tom Hanks, superstar of the world, is not going to go to the minor league baseball stadium in Sacramento, because why would he? And Angels got the Dodgers, so there you go. They're really playing into the full American League, National League this weekend, so it should be fun. After this break, we will talk about taking the temperature of Chicago, if the Cubs-Sox rivalry is even real or not. And then we'll also talk about how this team has fared from 2024 through 44 games to 2025 through 44 games. And we'll talk about some of the guys that haven't been performing as well as you'd hope, Robert and Vaughn. But we have to take a break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. I want to let you know about our friends over at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is Illinois' favorite dispensary. You can go check them out all throughout Chicago. They have spots in the city, like in the downtown area. They also have one in Wrigleyville. Maybe you're going to the game. You could stop it over at Sunnyside before heading over to Wrigley Field. You could also check them out in the suburbs, Champaign, South Beloit, Elmwood Park. It's a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from. Plus, they have easy online ordering and in-store pickup. And obviously, depending on the store that you're going to, they might not have this product, but I know that Sunnyside has this at some of their stores. I really like the Uncle Arnie's edibles, and you can make a nice batch of that, put the amount that you'd like, maybe crack a Spindrift, crack a Fresca, maybe some freshly squeezed lemonade. You make that a little drink, and there you go. You could start your Friday. I don't work tomorrow. That's all I'm just going to say. We know you love Cresco and Floricale's incredible quality and consistent products as well. So go check out their lovely products at sunnyside.shop for Bright Buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright Buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Circa Sportsbook. Circa Sportsbook, first of all, run the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen in Las Vegas. I've stayed a couple two-tree places in Las Vegas. And then I had my one stay at Circa. Notches above everything else. If you are going to Las Vegas, go check out our friends over at Circa. And if you are looking to bet, download their app. They are live in Illinois. Whatever the sport, the app to bet is Circa Sports Illinois. It's sports betting the way it should be. They have high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. I really was sniffing out some player matchups for the PGA Championship, and I really liked Patrick Reed's odds versus just Jason Day. And I saw Jason Day shot a +2 today, so all we need is Patrick Reed to go out and not F it up. So go check out our friends and all of the spreads, props, futures, or in-game wagering over at Circa Sports. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 plus or older. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. We have 11 people watching. Usually happens when we have a loss. Not as big of a crowd as Monday, where we had 50 plus and 30 likes. If you haven't liked the video, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. We appreciate you watching. I know this team weren't the best last year, sitting the same record through 44 games. But if you are like Collie Dub and they are growing on you, we will be here with you to go through this season. Next show will be on Sunday. We'll have a post game after the Cubs-Sox game. On Monday, we'll have a show after the 6:40 game against the Mariners at the rate. And then on Wednesday, there's a 1:10 game between the Mariners and Sox. We'll have a post game for that day. And then next Sunday, back at it again at 1:10 p.m. Before we get into the next thing and we jump in to the Cubs-Sox rivalry, we do have one promotion going on. If you are looking for some merch, my mom wants me to go buy a CHGO Sports shirt. She wants me to go buy our new Pope shirt. She said she'll even pay for it as well. What?
Confession?
Yeah.
I already bought one.
Nice. There you go. Click the link in the description below if you are looking to buy some merch, and you could play in our Ball Knower bonus. You could pick either the Cubs or White Sox to win the series. You make a purchase of $25 or more, and if your team wins, it doesn't have to be your favorite team, the team that you pick to win this series. If they win, you get a gift card to our shop of equal value. So go check that link out in the description, and to participate, you have to click in the link in the description. So just help us out if you're looking to buy some merch. It's a fun way to participate. You can go get some Bears merch or some Pope merch. That
Pope shirt's dope.
There you go. Pope shirt.
Dope
is
Pope
dope.
shirt.
You know who's not dope? You know who's kind of it's a coworker. So I kind of have to walk the line here. Can't say any. You know who's really old? Luke Stuckmeyer. Grandpa Stucky.
Here we go.
Taking the Temp is a new branded segment that is brought to you by our friends over at Four Seasons. Your local trusted experts are Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com, 866-4 Seasons. Taking the Temp, let's hear from Luke Stuckmeyer on last night's CHGO Cubs about what the Chicago Cubs should do against the White Sox this weekend.
That team is horrid. I don't care what their record is in their last 5 games. They lost 121 games last year. They're going to lose 115 or 116 or maybe 120 this year. Their historic history. That's right. Thanks, Hawk. They're historically bad. Sweep them. I don't care how many players you have hurt. I don't care how tired Kyle Tucker might be. He gets a day off tomorrow. Everybody does. Cade Horton ought to go out and shove because he's used to shoving against AAA teams, and he's playing one on Friday. He ought to go out there and dominate. And Kyle Tucker ought to look at, I don't care who's pitching, look at it and step up the plate and be like, meatballs coming over the plate.
You're not wrong.
The best recipe for a struggling hitter ought to be the White Sox.
Keep cooking.
I'm going to do some deep breathing.
No!
Try to center myself.
No!
One big thing that I'm trying not to do is yell.
No!
I don't really care about the White Sox-Cubs rivalry. I think that, it's great that there's two baseball teams in the city. I think it shows the strength of our city, the power of our city. I have a best friend who's a Cubs fan, family members who are Cubs fans. I got over that in grade school. But Luke's wrong. Luke's fairly stupid in his point. First of all, we have a very easy comparison between the White Sox and Cubs. They both played the Marlins at home in a 3-game series. The White Sox run differential after those 3 games, +4. 11 runs scored, 7 runs against. The Cubs run differential versus the Marlins, +2. 11 runs scored, 9 runs against. So the White Sox played better baseball against the same damn team. I don't think that you're right in your AAA assessment. Yes, they have the same exact record through 44 games. But is this team the same team as last year? No. When this team isn't playing Jake Amaya, Josh Palacios, and Lenyn Sosa at first base, this team doesn't really have a minor league lineup. I think that this team's lineup is a lot more digestible, a lot more palatable at this point through 44 games than last year at 2025. With Mydroth, Caro, Robert, Elko, you get consistency so far as of late from Vargas. I really do think that this is a completely different lineup than last year. And the pitching's better. 2024, after 44 games, as I've mentioned, 14-30. They had 32 home runs. The 2025 team also has 32 home runs. So we have a little bit of sync there, but hey, Vargas has just started hitting home runs and we got Elko up. So maybe that will change. Their walk rate is significantly higher, 6.9% last year through 44 games. This year, 9.1%. Their strikeout rate's a little bit higher, 22.3% to 23.7%. But when you take in the walk rate, you'll take it. You look at the averages, 216 to 216, 276 on base to 292 on base, a slugging percentage of 335 to 328. So they are at least getting on base more. The average isn't there, but they have been able to score more runs. 77 weighted runs created plus this year versus 73 last year. Negative 2.4 F4 for all of their hitters through 44 games, 0.0 F4 through 44 games. They're not good, but again, they're not a AAA team. 128 runs scored through 44 games last year, 215 runs against. This year, 149 runs scored. That's about 20 more than last year, and 184 runs against. That's about 40 less than last year. A team ERA last year through 44 games, 4.4. This year, 3.96. I think that's gone up after Bryce Wilson's outing today, but I didn't do the math to put that fully together. But it's sub 504, which is still 40 points less than last year. I really do not understand why Luke went on this big of a tirade. I don't know if it's because you lose against the Marlins. I don't know if it was real close on Wednesday as well. Justin Tucker, the 40-year-old man, had to bail out the Cubs with that game-winning hit. I don't understand this because you look at the pitching matchups. The Sox have a better pitcher, arguably in 2 of the 3, and I think that you could probably talk yourself into all 3 of the 3. I don't understand how Matt Boyd got the money that he did from the Chicago Cubs this year. I thought it was stupid. We've seen Matt Boyd a decent amount of times. He was with Cleveland and Detroit. The White Sox should have a pretty good scouting report on Matthew Boyd. That's their Saturday starter. But on Friday, the Sox have a better starter. Shane Smith, 2.08 ERA, 8 games started this year versus Cade Horton. Very big prospect for them, but he's only started 1 game in his major league career. This will be his 2nd start. The White Sox swing decisions are better. If their contact is better, if they're swinging and missing less, Horton will be worked. How deep can Horton go? He only went 4 innings in his first start. If the Sox are able to work him, then you get to the Cubs bullpen that I know has given Cody a ton of issues this year. I mean, Cody has to build a graphic, and then Luke mocks the graphic with his own graphic about how unstable the Cubs bullpen is. So I think it's truly, truly meatballish from our guy Luke Stuckmeyer to go out and say the Cubs should easily sweep the Chicago White Sox. I think the Cubs are very good, but with Imanaga, Steele down, their bullpen as shaky as it is, I really think that the White Sox can game plan to win one of those games. But again, here, just before you jump in, Saturday or Friday, Smith versus Horton. Saturday, Burke versus Boyd. Sunday, Cannon versus Ray. I think they might even go with openers on that Saturday and Sunday.
That was my question for you, is that what we've seen with the success with Cannon, would it be wise to maybe do an opener on Sunday and have him skip, PCA, Tucker, and Seiya in that first inning?
I think the biggest thing, well, does PCA lead off for them now?
Well, with Ian Happ on the IL right now, they've had PCA lead off all week, so it's probably going to be lefty with a combination of Seiya probably hitting third, and then Michael Busch hitting fourth. So yeah, Cannon, I mean, again, it's worked in the past, but yeah.
I think it's smart. I don't think that Cannon, or even for that fact on Saturday, Burke should be going up against Tucker and PCA to start that first inning. I think the biggest thing will just be how do they use Eisert and Boozer tomorrow, because that's the guys that they would be using in that opener strategy. I mean, also Gilbert. I think Gilbert's still on the roster. I'm not sure if Tyler Gilbert has been DFA'd, but I don't think he has been. You either see Gilbert, Boozer, or Eisert in that Saturday or Sunday game. I think it's dependent on their Friday usage. I think that Shane Smith won't see an opener, but even this is a guy that I think could probably benefit for an opener. Don't give him a tough first inning, and then see if he can go 5 innings of like fairly clean ball game when you're going up against the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th hitter. Maybe you have a first 2 cleaner innings than you have been, and you have a little bit more stamina in the 6th and 7th. So I wouldn't even hate an opener tomorrow. I'd be all for the opener. I think it's a smart idea for the Sox when your starting pitching does need help. And Shane Smith's very good, but he's not a guy that can go 7 innings each and every night. He's a guy that does hit a bump once he gets to the 3rd time through the rotation. I think it's very smart for them to use an opener. So I think that this team is not the AAA team that you saw last year. This is a team that is absolutely motivated. I think that they're very excited to take on the Cubs in Will Venable's first crosstown series. Again, Will Venable isn't stupid. Will Venable knows the, I think, intensity of this Cubs-Sox rivalry. He was a coach for the Cubs. I think he was there in 2020 when Jose Abreu was hitting bomb after bomb off of Kyle Hendricks and etc. Like, I think that Will Venable will understand the rivalry, and I think that this is going to be a series that they're at least up for and shouldn't get embarrassed in. Maybe they get outscored 24-8, but that Friday or Sunday wins a 1-0 victory. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Decided advantage, in my opinion, pitching-wise for Friday. So where are you? They're not getting swept, is what you're saying. No. You're saying Cubs win 2 out of 3? Or are you going to say Sox win 2 out of 3?
Cubs win 2 out of 3. I think Sox win 1 of either Friday or Sunday. I think it's more likely that they win tomorrow, especially with Cody being there in left field, especially with Luke running in his mouth. I absolutely, with Bet365, will be betting on the White Sox money line to win tomorrow. I hopefully Justin Thomas is the first-round leader of the PGA Championship, so I have money to bet. If I have money to bet, I will be placing a money line bet on the Chicago White Sox to win tomorrow. I think that you cannot get so over the top about baseball. It was very impossible for this team to lose 121 games last year, and they did it. Teams are typically not that bad. This team, I don't think, will have the floor completely cave off from them, down the stretch like it did. So what? They were 14-30 through 44 games. Joey, just bear with me. What's 41 minus 14? 27. And then what's 121 minus 30? So in their they went 91. They went 27-91 in their last whatever that is games.
That's not good.
I don't think that's repeatable. I don't think you can be that bad in back-to-back years. I think this is a team that at least has raised the floor. The ceiling is completely low, right? Like, this is a team with very low high-end potential, but I think they can show up on a consistent basis, on a day-to-day basis, which you could not say for last year.
My question for you is, if the Sox sweep the Cubs, does Luke owe you an apology? Do you get to spray Luke with the reality spray?
I don't know.
I
think I'll just take my...
Buy you a donut?
I'll take the high road. I'll take the high road, and I will just, I think he'll have to deal with Cody being really upset if they get swept by the Cubs. So I'll just let him deal with Cody. We have to take a break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast presented by Bet365. Use code CHGO365 when you sign up. If you have any thoughts, let us know in the comments below. Sam's mentioned last time he saw Josh Rojas play at Wrigley, he had a 3-homer game. So, hey, maybe Josh Rojas 3-homer game incoming. We got some talk about Luis Robert Jr. and Andrew Vaughn after the break. We want to let you know first about our friends over at Game Time. Greg Bragg is trying to get me to go to the game tomorrow. I don't know if I will, but if I do go to the Cubs game tomorrow, I will be using Game Time right as I walk through the friendly confines of Wrigley Field. The Game Time guarantee means that I can trust that I'll get 100% authentic MLB tickets on time and at the best price, plus fees are always included, so you see what you pay. And the biggest thing is the last minute deals. You can walk up to a 120 game is when the 120 club happens, I'm assuming. You could walk up to a 120 game at 115, and you could be on your phone, be on the Game Time app, use code CHGO when you do, and you can save 20% off your first purchase with code CHGO at Game Time, but then also you will get the best price. Tickets, prices go down the closer you are to the game, and Game Time is the best place to buy tickets. They take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time. Last minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. What time is it?
Game time.
Yeah, I was about to say, you didn't finish it. You know, you
We
started
were doing
it.
a collective.
Oh, you were waiting for me. Okay. No. From here on out, Game Time's just a you thing.
So you're Cliff Levingston, and I'm the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, when you go, who? I am actually taking a deep breath because I have to read about Ray Chevrolet. Our friends over at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake are kicking off the summer with a big Memorial Day savings all month long. Come in today to shop the Memorial Day sales event and drive home with 0% financing for 60 months on select new Chevy models, or check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories, you'll be sure to find the perfect vehicle for you. And as one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they'll always be able to keep their prices competitive, so you know you'll get a great deal because of Ray's Price Promise. It lets you shop confidently. It's a guarantee of no add-ons, no hidden fees, and no gimmicks, meaning the price you see is the price you pay. Go see for yourself over at Ray Chevy. Visit our partner at their convenient location on Route 12 in Fox Lake. And don't miss out on their Memorial Day sales event going on all month long for 0% financing on select new Chevy models. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive. And I like that. Hey, there you go. Goop Like Soup says, we'll take the Sunnyside High Road. There you go. We'll just use our Uncle Arnie's, we'll use our dog walkers, and we'll just be blissfully unaware.
Everything's fine, man.
Hey, man, Miguel Vargas has been
He
awesome
looks good,
since his
dude.
hand change.
Look at him pick it, man.
Oh, man. All right, let's get into Luis Robert Jr. Luis Robert Jr. had a faux pas today. In the bottom of the fifth inning, Will Benson was up, and apparently the worst thing to happen to the White Sox this weekend was TJ Friedl being injured. Was Ellie De La Cruz spiking TJ Friedl in his crotch? Because then Will Benson, who apparently is just a better player, came in. Will Benson was doing everything for the Reds once Friedl was injured. He was making diving catches, robbing catches, hitting home runs. He hits one in the bottom of the fifth. Robert went up against the wall, timed it perfectly, got a beautiful jump as well. I don't know if you've ever walked around the rate on like those kind of pregame things where maybe sometimes they have like a parade. I did it when I was a kid. And obviously it's way different when you're a kid and you're 4 feet. But jumping those 9 feet to the top of the wall is pretty damn hard. And when you just see Luis Robert Jr. explode up that wall, and he probably just gets like 13 feet off the air, or 13 feet off the ground. I mean, not like, that's a pretty insane vertical, but you know what I'm saying? Like, including his actual height, he probably jumps, 5 feet off the ground, and is able to make just a beautiful attempt of a rob. He mistimed the actual grab, so it goes over the fence. But he had a great series in Cincinnati in center field. Bottom of the third yesterday, he had a nice catch at the wall. Wasn't a home run, but still had to make a jumping catch. I think it probably would have hit the top of the wall, right where that yellow line is. So he makes a jumping catch right at the wall. Davis Martin, very happy with him. And then earlier today, too, Robert makes a running catch in the right center field gap. It's a beautiful catch to not also get yourself injured. He does a great job of catching the ball and just the athleticism to slow down and in one motion catch the ball, keep his eye on it, and then brace for impact. I have always just been amazed with his fluidity in center field. I know he hasn't been perfect. I know people said he's going to be the Cuban Mike Trout. He is Cuban, so that part they got right. Hasn't really been Mike Trout to this point so far. No MVPs. But weirdly enough, as a young person, somebody who didn't get to see the peak of Frank Thomas, if you're taking out the 2005 team, because that is fairly unfair, Paul Konerko is probably the best position player I've ever seen play in a White Sox uniform. Chris Sale's probably the best player I've ever seen, including pitchers. Robert, and this speaks to the White Sox, is unfortunately probably the third best player I've ever seen. It hasn't been perfect. It hasn't been, great each and every year. 2024 kind of turned the entire fan base on the guy. I know he's been extremely frustrating, but when he is on, there is or has been no better player that I can think of. I think Konerko's consistency elevates him way above Robert, but I do think that Luis Robert, again, when everything's clicking for him, it's going to turn on. And I hate to say it. I know the numbers don't look good. I know he's got a 190 average. I think things are about to click for him. He's got 17 stolen bases, tied for the MLB high. He's got a career high of 13% walk rate. His highest was 8.8%. So he's nearly 5% higher than his highest season walk rate ever. His K percent is high, but it's at the 2023 level. So I still think it's probably about, it's sustainable. He had this high of a K rate with also 35 homers before. His BABIP, batting average on balls in play, is at 247. His career BABIP, because he hits the ball so hard, is 323. There's a huge gap there that he can make up where balls in play just are not getting down for him right now. That can change in an instant. He was just 2 for 3 yesterday with a walk as well in the 17th stolen base. His barrel rate's at 12%, in line with his career average. His expecting batting average is 247. His current batting average is 190, so there's about 60 to 50 points right there that he could jump. His expected slugging is 424. His current slugging is 321. So there's 100 points right there that he can jump. There is a breakout on the rise. On grounders, very bad to hit ground balls. A negative 36 weighted runs created plus. There you go. Makes sense. You hit a ball on the ground, it's likely an out. On fly balls, 157 weighted runs created plus. All right, 57% better than the major league average. On line drives, 373 weighted runs created plus. So, we are just able to hone in on less ground balls, less infield pop-ups. I think that he is absolutely going to spark. His ground ball rate, 42.2%. In 2023, it was 36.4%. Last year was 54.1%. So in 2022, it was 54.1%. So he's had a high ground ball rate before. But I think right now, just with the lack of his swinging, he does need to lower his ground ball rate. So that's one thing that he definitely needs to do. The reason why his batting average is so low is because he's hitting too many grounders. And then his infield fly ball rate, 22.9%, previous high 14.3%. He has 8 infield fly balls currently this year. And the biggest issue with those have been swinging up and in and low and away. So I don't know if he needs to just be a little bit earlier on fastballs up and in to truly start pulling those fly balls and just being a little bit earlier rather than being under them. But yeah, he does have an issue currently with infield fly balls and ground balls. But outside of that, I really do think that the talent is absolutely still there. And I think if you are frustrated with him, that's fine. But if you don't think that he's not trying out there, the defensive plays that he makes or almost makes, the steals that he's consistently putting out there, the fact that he's walking, I think he wants to be a better baseball player, and I'm seeing it from Luis Robert in 2025. It's not there on the stat sheet, but I think it could be.
Yeah, I want to go a little bit further on your personal list here. Carlos Quentin slander aside, talent-wise,
Quentin played way less games.
yeah, but he had an amazing, one of the most productive seasons you're going to see in a White Sox uniform of the last 25 years, 100%. And he fractured his wrist when he had 40 home runs. So who knows where he would have landed in that one season. That aside, though, just on your personal list, is Luis Robert the most talented White Sox player that you feel like that you've seen, or is it still maybe Chris Sale? Talent, not production, not consistent. Because that was Paulie, right? Paulie was Mr. Consistent year in and year out.
Had no speed. And you're just wondering, how did this guy do it until he was 39? Yeah. I think that's pretty fair. I mean, he's just, I cannot picture a 5-tool talent that the White Sox have had outside of Luis Robert Jr. to this level. Quentin, in his seasons from 2008 to 2011, 7.6 WAR. Roberts played longer. I think that's the biggest thing. 15 career WAR too. I mean, he's just.
Oh, I was just saying, Carlos.
I know it's just
put
it's just
Carlos
that
Quentin in a
defense.
bottle that 1 year.
I know, but I mean, like, what that 1 year's 40 home runs.
Yep.
Roberts 2023 kicks that season's ass. I mean, 35 home runs, playing great center field defense, stealing 20 bags. Like, Quentin could not do that. Like, Quentin was great, but also Quentin just was not the threat on the base pass and the defensive player.
Yeah,
that
I'll throw Mags Ordonez in this one too, but that's before 2005, so that's not a little fair. That's not very fair.
I mean, I who doesn't remember Maglio? I mean, I had a cousin Maggie. So I would also call her Mags. So I had Mags in my life, and who doesn't forget Maglio? My last season, like, I think my first couple of baseball seasons would have been 2002 and 2003. So like, I caught some really good Mags seasons. So I knew how good Mags was. I knew how good Carlos Lee was. But like, I didn't watch them as much as I was watching.
Sure. After Frank, I think Maglio might be the second most talented hitter that I've ever seen in a White Sox uniform. Yeah.
I mean, I know Mags might have had some help. I think Mags popped up on a few
he came around at the right time. Maybe he came around at the right time.
But hey,
we'll never know with that knee, right?
I think him and Mauer are only the guys in my lifetime to hit above 360 in an entire season. A 363 average in 2007. Pretty good. Pretty good. I'll have to look that up. But anyways, let's talk about somebody who will not hit 360 in their life. It's Andrew Vaughn.
Let's bring it down. Bring it down.
We need celebration.
Andrew Vaughn is so dang good.
All right, Andrew Vaughn this was flashed during CHSN's broadcast. We love Connor McKnight on this broadcast. Connor McKnight is fantastic. Love seeing him on ESPN. I've loved seeing him on CHSN. Fantastic that Connor McKnight is a part of that broadcast. However, Connor flashed a stat, and I don't know if Connor proposed this to the broadcast or not, about Andrew Vaughn in the first 19 games. Andrew Vaughn in the first 19 games, an exit velocity of 90.7 miles per hour, a bat speed of 69.6 miles per hour, a launch angle of 13 degrees, an average distance of 166 feet, a swing length of 7.3 feet, and a hard hit rate of 47.2. And what Connor was trying to show from the last 22 games that Vaughn has played since the 20th of April is that his exit velocity has gone up 3 miles per hour, and that his hard hit percentage has gone up 2%. But overall, when you do compare it, first 19 to the last 22 games, yes, the exit velocity is up. The bat speed's fairly similar, 69.6 miles per hour to 70.1%. The launch angle is a little bit increased, 13 degrees to 18 degrees. The average distance is increased, 166 feet to 172 feet. The swing length is the same, 7.3 feet to 7.4 feet. So what has actually changed? It's honestly just him getting luckier. If you want to flash the first 19 games, this is his spray map on where he's mostly hitting the ball. The dark red is where he's mostly hitting the ball. Any of those lighter spots are balls that he's hit to several times. So you can see that, he's hit some grounders to the second base side. He's hit some doubles down the line. You could see that little white spot right down that left field line. You could see that gap in right center field that he hits to pretty oftenly. And then you could see in left center that he hits a decent amount to kind of truly in that left center gap there. If you want to go to the last 22 games, though, what has changed? a little bit more pull side. You could see that it's a little less scattered down that foul line, and it's a little bit more spread out to the actual left field line. But it's honestly using less of the middle of the field and just kind of spraying it either to right field or left field. What have I told you about Andrew Vaughn? Andrew Vaughn is small, unathletic, and not strong enough and powerful to be a first baseman. And the biggest thing that he needs to do with these limitations, his body limitations, is he needs to tap into that pull side power. He's not doing that. I know it's flashing, and you could see the pull side ball data is showing up more. There's a little bit more balls hit to the pull side. But in actuality, first 19 games, 21 batted ball events to the pull side. The last 22 games, 22 batted ball events to the pull side. The average exit velocity is the exact same on those pull ball data. 94.8 miles per hour to 95.1 miles per hour. The bat speed is the same, 72.1 miles per hour to 73 miles per hour. The launch angle's increased a little bit, 6 degrees to 14 degrees, so he's pulling the ball a little bit more on a fly, which is good, but he's actually hitting the ball less hard as he once did, even though the exit velocity's up. The hard hit went from like a 60% to a little bit of a higher 58%. The average distance has gone from 156 to 174, but still not exactly what you need. If you were going to be pulling the ball on a fly, usually that would come with some power, and that would probably give you an average distance of like 200 if he was actually tapping into his pull side power, but he's just not. He's just simply not. And I think that it's interesting that Venable had to talk with Vaughn before they called up Elko. Schriffen mentioned that Venable spoke with Vaughn saying, hey, this won't affect your playing time. We just want to see what Elko can do, and we're going to get him worked into the lineup while working you into the lineup, and that's something that players have liked about Venable is his communication style. But at the end of the day, Tim Elko starts hitting home runs, and Andrew Vaughn is exactly what he is over the next month. At some point, Vaughn will lose playing time. This is not sustainable. No one cares to watch this 5'9" guy just go out there and do the same thing over and over again. You look at his bat speed. Brooks Baldwin swings the bat faster than him. Baldwin, on average, 70.8 miles per hour. That's 31 percentile in Major League Baseball. Vaughn, 69.8 miles per hour, 18 percentile in baseball. Elko's average bat speed, 75 miles per hour. He kind of goes all in, all out. It's either a strikeout, a ground ball, or it's a 500-foot fly ball, right? But you kind of want that in a first baseman. You want somebody that's just going to hit the damn ball hard. And when Vaughn isn't hitting the ball hard, it's an ugly pop-out, it's an ugly strikeout, and he just doesn't bring it. Maybe over the next month he'll find it, or they'll finally find the courage to cut him, because I think we're running into a point where, you know, with him not walking, he puts the ball too much into play to not be hitting the ball harder. It's just not effective enough. This is a bad baseball player that needs to be adjusted. In the last 22 games, it's kind of like the stat we saw last year. Andrew Vaughn in the first 60 games, this stat. Last 60 games, this stat. Look how much better he's been. It's the same damn player. I don't get it. I understand we're trying to cover the team and we're trying to be objective. But like, if I am being objective, it's the same crap from this guy. It's the same uninteresting batted ball data from Andrew Vaughn that shows that he's not a first baseman. Maybe he can work out as a second baseman, but I think, you know, he's just probably too old for this at that point.
But also, what's kind of frustrating about it too is you see them move on from a player like Gavin Sheets, or they move on from all these other players. Just what is it about Andrew Vaughn that keeps him on the team? And it probably comes down to financial price and some version of stability of him being in the lineup.
To be honest, I mean, just comparing him and Sheets, financials makes no sense, because he's making $6 million, Sheets is making $2 million. If you're trying to save money, it's very easy to cut Vaughn. You know, I think it's with Goop. It's, how did this guy get drafted third overall? He was drafted third overall, and
living on that.
They do not want to punt on that.
But they punted on Nick Madrigal at 4.
Well, he sucks.
And Andrew Vaughn?
Well, I know. No, he also sucks. I'm saying they should punt on him. I'm just saying also Madrigal sucked. Madrigal couldn't play defense, couldn't run the bases, couldn't hit. Vaughn at least can. You could look at the batted ball data, and if you squint your eyes hard enough, maybe, just maybe, there's a decent baseball player. They like the expected stats of Andrew Vaughn, but we have not actually seen those come to fruition. I think he would be a lot better baseball player if he played New York. I know it makes a lot of sense, but New York or Tampa, if he's in a smaller actual confinement, I think that you would see him play better because he would be in a park that actually can suit his very low strength. But he plays in Chicago, and he's just a little bit too big for him. And every other ballpark besides New York and Tampa, which is just a mockery of New York, is just too big for him. Anyways, that's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox postgame show. We'll be back live on Sunday after the Cubs-Sox game. Thank you to Joey Christopoulos for producing the show. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. Shout out to Goop Like Soup for hanging out with me throughout the entire show. Sox lose 7-1, but they're 7-7 through the month of May so far. Make sure you hang out with us on Sunday as we will be back here on the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Hit that thumbs up button and make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. We will see you on Sunday. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.